September 27th, 2018. Baghdad traffic froze as a white Porsche rolled to the curb. Inside, influencer Tara Fairs lay motionless, with 3 bullets in her body. The daylight killing ignited national outrage and one haunting question: who wanted her silenced, and why? Here are 7 female influencers instantly killed by brutal gangs. April 28, 2024. The city of Quevedo, Ecuador, Landy Párraga Goiburo, a 23-year-old former beauty queen and rising social media influencer, sits down for lunch in a popular mall restaurant. Moments before her meal arrives, she snaps a photo of her octopus ceviche and uploads it to her Instagram stories, sharing the location with her 173,000 followers. She has no idea this will be her final post. Just minutes later, 2 armed men burst through the restaurant doors. Security cameras capture the shocking scene. Landy, standing next to a companion, is suddenly targeted. The gunmen open fire, sending patrons scrambling for cover. 3 bullets strike the influencer before the assassins flee, leaving behind a scene of chaos and devastation. Landy's body lies motionless on the restaurant floor as emergency services arrive. The vibrant life she shared so openly on social media is brutally cut short, leaving her followers and the nation in stunned silence. This wasn't just a random act of violence. Landy Párraga was more than an Instagram star. She had placed 5th in the 2022 Miss Ecuador pageant, built a successful home goods store, and launched her own sportswear brand. Her business savvy and social media presence made her a rising star in Ecuador's influencer scene. But behind the glamorous facade, darker forces were at play. Investigators would soon discover that Landy's name appeared in conversations found on the phone of notorious Ecuadorian drug lord Leandro Norero, known as El Patron. These conversations surfaced during Operation Metastasis, a sweeping investigation into criminal networks corrupting Ecuadorian state officials. Norero's phone contained not just messages but photos of Landy, along with evidence of expensive gifts, cars, apartments, and lavish presents. The drug lord's messages to his lawyer, Jaliver Angulo, revealed fear.
Her name cannot come out anywhere, otherwise my world will come crashing down.
The implication was clear. Landy had become entangled in a dangerous web of organized crime. Norero himself had faked his own death from COVID-19, only to later be captured and killed in prison. His body was reportedly burned in a prison riot, though DNA evidence was never provided. His reputation as an escape artist bred suspicion at every turn. Operation Metastasis uncovered a criminal network manipulating judges, police, and prison officials at the highest levels. Dozens were prosecuted for selling favors and protection to cartel members. Landy's businesses, her clothing line and import company, came under scrutiny for possible connections to these criminal enterprises. The timing of her murder was no coincidence. President Daniel Noboa had recently declared a state of emergency, sending the military into Ecuador's streets to battle organized crime. The country, once one of South America's safest, had become a battleground for drug cartels, allied with Mexican gangs. Landy Párraga's murder became a national sensation, partly due to her popularity and partly because the entire attack was caught on security cameras. The footage circulated widely, showing the brutal efficiency of the hit. Investigators quickly realized her final Instagram post had likely given away her location to the assassins. Theories about the motive swirled. Some speculated the killing was ordered by Norero's widow, seeking revenge for her husband's affair. Others pointed to the ongoing corruption investigation and Landy's potential as a witness. Whatever the reason, her death sent a chilling message about the power and reach of Ecuador's criminal underworld. In the aftermath, President Noboa doubled down on his war against organized crime. Military patrols increased, and suspects connected to the murder were rounded up. The investigation into Landy's death expanded, uncovering even more links between influencers, business owners, and criminal organizations. But the true cost was personal. Landy's family, friends, and thousands of followers mourned the loss of a vibrant woman caught in forces far beyond her control. Her story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of social media, the reach of organized crime, and the fragile line between fame and fatality. But as Landy Párraga Goibero's murder sent shockwaves through Ecuador, our next victim had a final phone call that pulled her out of the safety of her home and into the darkness waiting outside. September 20th, 2022. It was around 10:30 that night when Carla Pardini picked up her phone, stepped outside, and disappeared into the darkness. Moments later, a storm of bullets shattered the quiet streets. By the time daylight hit, the rising TikTok creator was gone, and suddenly, her last posts didn't feel bold anymore. They felt like warnings nobody caught in time. Something is unsettling about the final videos Carla uploaded. The bright ring lights, the bold lipstick, those wild curls that made her instantly recognizable, all wrapped in captions that practically invited people to stare. Carla wasn't your average TikTok teen messing around with dance trends. She was becoming somebody on TikTok and Instagram, right from the heart of Culiacán, Sinaloa, a place where the wrong attention can be deadly. And at only 21, she was unknowingly balancing on a very fine, very dangerous line between internet fame and real-world threats. Carla had all the qualities of a breakout star. Her videos were playful, confident, and sometimes spicy. She hit the trending dances, nailed the lip syncs, and her views shot up fast. But people didn't follow her just for her content. They followed her for her energy. She had that sharp, fearless spark that stands out, especially in a city where most young women learn to stay low-key. She clapped back at haters, dropped bold selfies, and wrote captions with real teeth. And sometimes those sharp captions cut a little too close. Just days before she died, Carla shared a story that got people talking. Cryptic, almost confrontational. It read,
"When they tell me they don't like me, in short, I hope you like me less."
She didn't tag anyone. She didn't call anyone out. But in Culiacán, the wrong person, or worse, the wrong group, thinking it was aimed at them is more than enough to spark deadly consequences. September 20th started like nothing unusual. She was online, posting, replying, probably planning her next videos. No sign she was living her last hours. Then, around 10:30 p.m., her phone rang. Nobody knows who called her or what words were exchanged. But whatever was said made her leave the safety of her house. She walked out into the night, only a few streets from home in the Tierra Blanca neighborhood. That's where the trap closed. A group of armed attackers, possibly arriving in a vehicle, confronted her and opened fire. Witnesses later recalled rapid bursts of gunshots. Not a robbery, not a scuffle, just a targeted hit designed to end her instantly. Carla collapsed in the street, bullet wounds all over. By the time authorities showed up, it was already too late. News of her death exploded across social media. At first, everyone was in disbelief. Comments flooded her previous videos.
"This can't be real."
"She just posted." But it was real, and worse, it was planned. What disturbed everyone wasn't just that she was killed. It was how deliberate it was. No sign anyone tried to steal anything. No attempt to hide the body. Nothing messy. Just a clean, cold execution. As if someone decided she crossed a line, even if unintentionally. Speculation went wild. Some people claimed she offended someone linked to the cartels. Others whispered about jealousy or a messy love situation with dangerous ties. But in Sinaloa, truth and rumor blur together. What stayed certain was this: the hit wasn't random. Culiacán doesn't do random. Carla wasn't a journalist digging into cartel secrets. She wasn't exposing anyone. She wasn't naming names. She was just posting the same kind of content millions post every day. And somehow, that was enough to get her killed. Her murder made national headlines, briefly. Then, like most cartel-related killings, the story slipped into silence. No suspects, no arrests, no official explanation, just pain, fear, and a void of answers. Her family was shattered. Her friends were traumatized. And her followers kept scrolling through her old videos, trying to make sense of something senseless. One day, she was dancing on TikTok. Next, she was lying dead on a neighborhood street. That's the harsh truth of being an influencer in narco-controlled cities. It isn't just about followers and trends. It's about invisible boundaries, fragile respect, and the reality that even a caption, a simple sentence, can be misread as a threat. And when the wrong eyes are watching, consequences don't come in comments. They come in bullets. Carla Pardini didn't die because she was popular. She died because her confidence, her visibility, and her bold online voice brushed up against the wrong power. Her story is more than tragic, it's a warning. In some places, going viral isn't glamorous, it's dangerous. And sometimes, it can cost you your life. But Carla Pardini's murder wasn't an isolated shock, because while her videos were still flooding with comments from stunned followers, our next influencer, this time more outspoken, more rebellious, and far deeper in cartel territory, was already living on borrowed time. October 24, 2023, Padre Hurtado, Chile. A young woman dressed in luxury brands drove through the quiet streets, never noticing the masked assailants waiting nearby. Her destination was an ordinary nail salon. But for Sabrina Durán Montero, known to thousands as the Narco Queen of TikTok, this would be her last drive. Sabrina Durán Montero, better known by her online persona, Joaquina Guzman, rose from the tough streets of Peñaflor as the youngest of 9 children. By her teens, she was deeply embedded in the drug trade, eventually becoming the leader of a criminal gang in Santiago's suburbs. Social media transformed her notoriety into a powerful brand, with over 500,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. She flaunted luxury goods, posted dance videos, and openly embraced her criminal lifestyle, all while maintaining the image of a glamorous, untouchable influencer. But beneath the social media veneer was a hard reality. Aina, as her friends called her, was a convicted drug trafficker who had spent more than a year in prison before being released to house arrest in May 2023. Even behind bars, she continued posting videos, earning the nickname the Narco Queen of Peñaflor. Her videos, filled with reggaeton dances and urban aesthetic, showcased her power over both followers and, seemingly, the justice system. Her flamboyant lifestyle made her a symbol of both aspiration and caution in Chilean society. Sociologists noted how young people idolized her apparent wealth and power. Security experts warned that her popularity was a symptom of growing criminal influence among Chile's youth. Politicians pointed to her story as evidence of the state losing control in certain areas. But beneath the viral fame, Aina's world was dangerous. On that October morning, she was ambushed by multiple gunmen at the intersection of Alberti Blestgana and Primera Transversal. 7 shots rang out. Her attackers stole her car, later found burned in Quilicura. She died from her wounds at the local hospital. The murder sent shockwaves through social media. Her final TikTok video, posted just hours before her death, quickly amassed millions of views. Followers flooded the comments with grief and tributes, while authorities scrambled to prevent her funeral from becoming a security risk. Over 1,700 narco funerals had already disrupted Chilean communities in recent years. Aina's would be among the most high-profile. Investigators immediately suspected cartel involvement. Some believed rival gangs targeted her for control of local drug territories. Others speculated that her high-profile social media presence made her too visible and too much of a liability. The exact motive remains unclear, but one thing was certain: Aina's life of crime and fame had caught up with her. Her death highlighted the growing intersection of social media and organized crime in Latin America. Experts warned that platforms like TikTok allowed young women to glamorize cartel life, attracting vulnerable youth. The line between influencer culture and criminal activity had become dangerously blurred. As authorities prepared for her high-risk funeral, they knew her story was far from unique. Ina represented a new generation of female narco influencers, young, bold, and reckless enough to flaunt their criminal ties online. Her rise and fall became a cautionary tale for others, tempted by the apparent glamour of cartel life. But for many young followers, her legacy of power and danger lives on through thousands of viral videos and millions of social media impressions. Well, but as shocking as this story is, the next case will show you what happened when another social media star dared to challenge an even more powerful cartel, with a far more devastating consequence for even those around her.
Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay's body was found wrapped in plastic in that abandoned pickup truck. It's been reported that 2 men were questioned about her murder. Then, in a wild twist, those men were kidnapped by armed men within minutes of leaving the prosecutor's office.
August 22, 2025, Guadalajara, Mexico. 4 bodies wrapped in plastic were discovered inside a pickup truck near a mechanic shop. The victims, TikTok influencer Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay, her husband Roberto Carlos Gil Licea, and their 2 Gael Santiago and Regina. Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay, known as Esmeralda FG on TikTok, was a 32-year-old social media influencer from Michoacan, Mexico. She built her following by posting comedic lip-sync covers and displaying her lavish lifestyle, often showcasing designer clothing, luxury vehicles, and cosmetic procedures. Her husband, 36-year-old Roberto Carlos Gil Licea, was a businessman involved in vehicle sales and tomato production in Michoacan. Their children were frequently featured in family-oriented content. The family had recently moved from Michoacan to Jalisco, seeking better opportunities and perhaps a safer environment. However, their new life in Guadalajara would be tragically cut short. Esmeralda's social media presence often included subtle references to connections with organized crime, including a viral video with the phrase,
"Advantages of having a narco boyfriend,"
while displaying luxury goods. Investigators traced the pickup truck containing the bodies back to a nearby auto repair shop. At the scene, they found bloodstains, spent bullet casings, and evidence indicating the family was likely executed there before being transported. Surveillance footage, ballistic evidence, and blood patterns all pointed to the mechanic shop as the primary crime scene. While Esmeralda's social media presence drew attention, Jalisco prosecutor Alfonso Gutierrez focused on her husband's business activities. Roberto's involvement in vehicle sales and tomato farming in Michoacan, a region known for cartel activity, raised suspicions about potential organized crime connections. Despite public speculation about cartel involvement due to Esmeralda's online content, investigators found no direct evidence linking the family to any criminal organization. 2 men working at the mechanic shop were initially detained, but later released due to insufficient evidence. However, in a shocking turn of events, both were attacked by armed men shortly after leaving the prosecutor's office. 2 were killed, and 1 managed to escape. This violent incident suggested a coordinated effort to silence potential witnesses or eliminate loose ends. The brutality of the murder shocked the local community and the broader social media world. Esmeralda's final TikTok post, featuring her driving with a message about her dirt road neighborhood, quickly went viral, amassing over 3.3 million views. The family's tragic end became a stark warning about the potential dangers of flaunting wealth and alleged criminal connections online. Authorities continue to investigate the case, focusing on Roberto's business dealings and possible conflicts with organized crime groups. Despite the high-profile nature of the murders, no clear motive or suspects have been identified. The family's social media accounts remain as haunting reminders of their once glamorous lifestyle and the dark reality that ultimately claimed their lives. But as the mystery surrounding Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay's final moments deepened, another young woman was already stepping into her own deadly spotlight. Another influencer whose connection to her ex-boyfriend's violent end in 2022 would spark a firestorm of accusations, fear, and unanswered questions. June 9th, 2025. Routine maintenance inspectors at a water treatment plant in Lima, Peru, make a gruesome discovery that would shock the nation. The river filtration grid is clogged with human remains, later identified as those of a young woman known to thousands online as China Baby. But first, who was Fabiola Alejandra Caicedo Piña? Fabiola Alejandra Caicedo Piña, just 19 years old, was a Venezuelan-born TikTok influencer who had quietly built a following of over 5,000 fans under the name China Baby. Her journey to Peru began when she was still a minor, leaving her family behind to live with her boyfriend, minor Jimenez Castillo. Her family described her departure with heartbreaking simplicity.
She never told us she was leaving. She just left, and that was it.
Fabiola's early years in Peru were marked by the usual struggles of a young immigrant trying to adapt. She found connection and expression through TikTok, sharing moments of daily life and building an online community. But tragedy struck in 2022 when her boyfriend, Castillo, died by suicide in Lima. His family, unable to accept his death, began a relentless campaign against Fabiola, accusing her of involvement despite no evidence. The harassment was intense, social media attacks and blame that followed her every post. The pressure from Castillo's family, compounded by her status as a migrant woman with growing online visibility, created an environment of constant threat. The exact circumstances of Fabiola's disappearance remain unclear, but it's believed she was targeted due to a combination of personal vendetta and her increasing social media profile. Her last TikTok video was posted just 4 days before her remains were discovered. Fabiola's body was first identified by her distinctive tattoos, including one on her back reading Paula Sofia. The brutality of the murder, body parts clogging a water treatment facility, sent shockwaves through Peru and Venezuela. The Peruvian National Police immediately noted that the method of her killing mirrored tactics used by human trafficking organizations to punish victims. And the investigation quickly expanded, considering the possibility that Fabiola had fallen victim to organized crime networks targeting vulnerable women, especially those with growing public profiles and limited local support. The discovery of Fabiola's remains sparked nationwide outrage in both Peru and Venezuela. Her family mourned not just her death, but the years of harassment she endured after Castillo died. The case highlighted the vulnerabilities faced by migrant women, particularly those who become visible online personalities. Social media erupted with calls for justice and greater protection for influencers, especially women who attract unwanted attention from dangerous organizations. Human rights groups demanded better support systems for migrant women, while law enforcement agencies faced scrutiny over their inability to protect vulnerable individuals. Despite extensive investigation, no suspects have been formally named in Fabiola's murder. The brutality of the crime, coupled with the unresolved harassment from Castillo's family, has left the community on edge. The case remains open, with police continuing to explore connections to human trafficking networks operating between Venezuela and Peru. Fabiola's story is a stark reminder of the hidden dangers facing young women who achieve online fame, especially in regions plagued by organized crime. But the next case on our list shows an even more shocking example of how social media visibility can turn deadly in an instant.
A social media influencer is shot to death while doing a TikTok live stream at her beauty salon just outside Guadalajara in central Mexico. Valyriia Marquez appeared to be speaking to someone off camera when she was shot in the head and chest.
February 14, 2002, Guadalajara, Jalisco. Valyriia Marquez came into the social media, destined for both online fame and a tragic end that would shock Mexico. At just 23, her TikTok audience watched in real time as her life was brutally taken during a live broadcast from her own beauty salon. Valyriia wasn't just another influencer. She was a businesswoman, model, and digital creator with nearly 200,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok. Her journey began at 16, modeling for local brands and quickly becoming a familiar face in Guadalajara's fashion scene. By 2021, she held the title Miss Rostro and was a sought-after collaborator for major brands like Golden Deluxe Jewelry, and beauty body level shapewear. But Valyria's ambitions extended beyond social media. She studied dentistry before pursuing a career in cosmetology, ultimately opening her own salon in Zapopan, Jalisco in 2024. This achievement, at just 22 years old, was both a testament to her drive and perhaps a factor in her dangerous visibility. May 13, 2025, Valyriia was streaming live on TikTok from her salon, clutching a stuffed toy. Suddenly, a voice called out,
Hey, Val?
She replied, muted the sound, and moments later, gunshots rang out. Her audience watched in horror as a masked man, posing as a delivery driver, shot her in the chest and head. The live stream abruptly ended as someone picked up her phone, their face briefly visible to thousands of viewers. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. 2 men seen outside the salon fled the scene. The Jalisco prosecutor's office launched an investigation treating the case as a potential femicide, a gender-based killing. President Claudia Sheinbaum personally assigned Mexico's top security team to the case, and tributes flooded Valyria's salon. But the digital world turned dark quickly. Social media was flooded with victim-blaming comments, accusing Valyriia of criminal connections and questioning her character. Whispers spread about her ex-boyfriend, allegedly a regional cartel leader, and the threatening messages he'd sent her. The narrative shifted sharply from tragedy to controversy, overshadowing the brutal reality of her murder. Despite the high-profile nature of Valyria's death, justice seemed elusive. The investigation focused on multiple suspects, but concrete progress stalled. Her friends and family were called as witnesses, but answers remained frustratingly out of reach. The violence continued. Just days later, a mayoral candidate in Veracruz was also killed during a live stream. On June 18, 2025, the U.S. Treasury sanctioned 5 senior members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, citing Valyria's murder as part of Mexico's escalating femicide crisis. One sanctioned member, Ricardo Ruiz Velasco, became a key suspect in her killing. Yet the tragedy didn't end with Valyria's death. Her tomb was vandalized and her TikTok account quickly disappeared. The digital legacy of her life and work was systematically erased, while the investigation dragged on. Valyria's murder became another statistic in Mexico's grim femicide record. In 2023 alone, 852 women were killed in gender-based violence, part of a disturbing trend that shows no sign of slowing. Despite fleeting outrage, her case faded into the background of Mexico's ongoing violence against women. But Valyria's story remains a stark reminder of the dangers facing women in Mexico, especially those who dare to be visible and successful. Her life, cut short at 23, is a tragic symbol of a country grappling with gender-based violence in the digital age. As we move to the next case, consider this. Valyria's murder happened in broad daylight on a public platform, with thousands watching. The next story shows what happened when another influencer tried to fight a system that claims to kill in the name of who they worship. September 27, 2018. A white Porsche glides through the chaos of Baghdad's streets. Behind the wheel is a woman who has just uploaded a new photo for her 2.7 million Instagram followers. Moments later, gunshots explode through the air. Tara Fairs collapses over the wheel, blood spreading across her clothes, her phone still beside her. Just like that, Iraq's social media star is gone. And suddenly the world is asking why. Tara Fairs wasn't some regular influencer. She was a rebel draped in Gucci and bold eyeliner, pushing against every expectation conservative Iraq had carved out for women. Tattoos down her arms, swimsuit photos, and fearless statements about freedom made her a lightning rod in a culture still struggling with modern self-expression. But for her millions of followers, Tara was a symbol, an activist, a model, a force, and proof that a woman could choose who she wanted to be. She didn't grow up with fame. Tara's childhood was shaped by a broken home in Baghdad, with a strict father who drifted out of her life. Those years were turbulent. At just 16, she was forced into marriage. It ended quickly, but left emotional and physical wounds. Tara would later reveal she had been abused, and that she was made to surrender. Instead of letting those scars silence her, she weaponized them. She spoke publicly, loudly, and without apology. Her national recognition came in 2014 when she won Miss Baghdad. It wasn't only her beauty that drew attention, it was her energy. She wore whatever she wanted, said exactly what she thought, and posted photos that many conservative Iraqis considered scandalous. In a country still recovering from war and deep cultural fractures, Tara's confidence made her both a superstar and a target. By 2018, she moved to Erbil in the Kurdish region for safety, though she frequently returned to Baghdad. She didn't hide. She didn't tone herself down. One post might show off a designer outfit or a makeup tutorial. The next would be heavy, reflective. Months before her death, she wrote,
"I'm not afraid of those who deny God's existence. What frightens me are those who kill in His name."
It wasn't just a caption, it felt like a warning. And tragically, it became one. On the day she died, CCTV captured a motorcycle pulling up next to her Porsche. A gunman leaned in and fired 3 shots before speeding away. Tara died instantly. The footage spread online within hours, and Iraqis erupted in grief and outrage. But it wasn't just her. Around the same time, prominent Iraqi women, beauty experts, salon owners, activists, were being murdered or found dead under mysterious circumstances. A pattern began to form. People whispered,
Was there a coordinated message being sent? A crackdown on those who dared to be visible, loud, and unafraid?
Authorities arrested a man who confessed, calling it a personal issue. Few believed that. Tara wasn't an ordinary influencer. She had become a symbol of personal freedom in a place where that alone could be dangerous. So the real question surfaced. Did Tara die because she lived too boldly? Iraq is changing, but much of its culture remains deeply conservative. Powerful clerics and militias see outspoken women, especially those who challenge ideas of femininity and modesty, as threats. No group claimed her killing, but the message didn't need a signature. Just existing the way Tara did was enough to unsettle the system. Still, even death couldn't silence her reach. Tributes flooded social media. Hashtags spread across countries. Her Instagram froze like a digital memorial. Snapshots of a life lived loudly, fearlessly. Because Tara Fairs didn't just break rules. She broke them in ways that inspired thousands. She challenged a rigid system, dared to be visibly free, and refused to shrink. And while her story ended violently, her influence didn't. It sparked something real. Today, young women in Iraq and beyond still share her photos, repost her quotes, and carry pieces of her courage in their own online presences. That is the impact she left behind. Raw, disruptive, unforgettable. She just wanted to live out loud, and in a place where that alone can be fatal, she did it anyway.